Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Sideline Night podcast. You're very welcome to our senior championship preview as we're looking forward to the weekend's action of all the first round games. Obviously, Crossmaglen overcame Clann Gael 2 weeks ago in the opener of the senior championship, but all the teams are involved this weekend as we get the first round games up and running. I'm delighted to have on Paddy Savage and Steve Malone, who's going to help me talk us through the games. We're going to take it in the games that come, so we'll discuss the 2 Friday night games, 3 Saturday, and then 3 Sunday. So first up, St Peter's take on Pearse Ogs on Friday night in David Park. That's at 7:30. Both these teams have been relegated from their divisions. The Ogs coming down from Division 1A next year, while St Peter's, unless they win the championship, will be playing intermediate football next year. Paddy, I suppose to start, Pearse Ogs coming into this game with a new management. We spoke very highly of Shane McConville last year and the last couple of years about the good job he was doing in the Ogs. He's not there now. Shorty Clark's over Pearse Ogs. Do you see St Peter's giving them a game here? The Ogs is obviously going to be favourites given that they're a division above this year. But how do you see this one going?
Yeah, and the Ogs is rightful favourites. Look, they were not only were the division above, they were in championship semi-final last year. Beat Culloville, it was them that beat Madden on penalties, wasn't it?
Yeah, they beat Madden.
Quarter final. Well, that was the infamous penalty shootout you tried to record, Sean, unsuccessfully.
That was last year, Paddy. We forgot about that.
We don't need to keep mentioning it, probably. Look. It's very, very unusual situation. Shane McConville is so highly rated throughout the county. He's done such a good job with so many different teams and transformed that Oaks team. From where they were sort of particularly in 2018. I know that we played in the championship and they weren't competitive at all. The following year, McConville was over them and they absolutely hammered us in Culloville. And then there was beat us again last year. So look, he did exceptionally well with them. I don't know what the fallout was or what happened. They've obviously somebody in there who very much knows the environment. So he'll have picked up things very, very quickly. Did some notable results in the league. They beat Dromintee by 8 points, and then they lost 3 in a row and they got relegated. So they go in favourite, surely, Sean. But I would just the one thing I will say is that it's maybe a wee bit St Peter's place in that division is a bit deceptive. I know they got relegated to intermediate, but they are a good, decent. They are a good enough side. I've seen them I think 3 times in all this season. I know they beat us twice. And they give Clann a fairly good game up in St Peter's. So look, they were on a real roll. They were on a real roll at one stage in that division 1B. And then just probably Culloville and Grange just got a win that just meant that left themselves too much to do. The one thing we can probably get caught, John, into too much looking at league form, because you have to remember that's league form over 2 seasons. And St Peter's were pretty much adrift. I think they're only 2 points after the end of 2020, but they won plenty of games in 2021. So definitely a useful side. They've a couple of really, really important, really, really good players. Niall McConville for them, and another name's just escaped me, but they're number 6. Aaron Fenton as well. And they have a number 6 as well. Experienced player. His name is just escaping me.
Maghery.
Well, look, the 2 really, really good, and they're. I'd expect them to be. They could surprise a few people. That's the one thing I'll say.
We'll go our predictions, lads. I think I'm going to stick with the Ogs. While losing Shane McConville has been obviously huge for them, I think they should have enough to come through this one. St Peter's, they're only up. I think they won the intermediate in 2018. They're only up, and as Paddy says, league split over 2 years has maybe worked against them. But a tight game may be expected, and I would think the Ogs come through. Steve, have you a prediction for that game?
Yeah, I'd be surprised really if it's anything other than an Oaks victory. I think St. Peter's really given them a good enough game, but I just think the Oaks have been, especially over this past couple of years, pushing on, moving on, and I think even with the loss of the manager, but having their own man in, that I think they'll give this championship a bit of a rattle, but they'll probably be dark horses this year.
Eamon Haughey, it was. Finally got it there. Got the fair play to Claire Shield. She's the senior program there ready for us. No, I say that I was at that game between St. Peter's and Clann. I thought he was absolutely immense. Really experienced, really good player. So yeah, look, I don't think I could really predict that that it's likely that St. Peter's win, but I just think they'll maybe they might surprise a few people, and they're definitely capable of putting in a very competitive performance.
And also on Friday night, then same time, 7:30, it's the clash of Ballymacnab and Grange in the athletic grounds. Lads, I'm going to let you do most of the talking about this. Obviously, a big rivalry, and the teams have met a lot over the last 10 years. They both have won games against each other in the senior championship. Coming into this one, Grange off the back, I think they beat Ballymacnab by 12 points in the league. A couple of months back now. That was obviously without the county men. Steve, Ballymacnab having the county men back is obviously crucial. The two Grugans and Ryan Kennedy. Do you see that being a deciding factor in this game?
Yeah, I think it has to be really. But I also think when it comes to Ballymacnab v Grange, anything's really possible. Just the whole derby factor. Nobody really talks about Grange being potential, winners of the competition, but nobody's ever going to rule them out when they play Ballymacnab, despite Ballymacnab, being, contenders and, expected to give it a good rattle. I suppose when you bring back players like, Rory and Jack who hasn't kicked the ball with the county, we've seen what he's done at club level in his past couple of championships. You don't know what the man has to do, but because he's been fantastic at club level. So I think I haven't seen anybody being able to contain Jack Grugan at a club level. So he's really the difference. One of the main difference, not the single difference, but I think Ballymacnab should have enough. But yet again, with Grange, just the whole the Pearse, the whole rivalry, I think that anything's possible, and it wouldn't be a surprise if Grange beat Ballymacnab, and I don't think Ballymacnab will be taking Grange one bit lightly.
What do you think, Paddy? Obviously, the rivalry is intense, and in these games, I suppose the rivalry makes it a 50-50, no matter where both sides are in the league. Obviously, Ballymacnab have been relegated to Division 1B, and Grange were pushing until the last week or two. I think they were pushing for the league title. The rivalry really makes it a 50-50, doesn't it?
Yeah, unfortunately, that's exactly how the bookmakers see it. But it's funny when you mention they play each other a lot, and it's often the team that you thought was going to win hasn't. Maybe when other clubs going really well, maybe sort of the early part of the last decade, when Grange had a really strong team. I remember Ballymacnab beat them in I think it was a county semi-final, that really wasn't expected. I think it was that 2012 perhaps, or 2011 or 2011. And then the same has happened more recently, when Ballymacnab had their when they've been really competitive, getting them a couple of county finals. I think it was maybe the year before Grange beat them. So look, I wouldn't count that much at all on that league game, just because of the difficult. If you take, but never mind Ballymacnab, any club team in the country, if you take forwards of the quality of Rory and Jack Grugan and stick them into that's going to transform a team, and then you've Ryan Kennedy as well. So look, I think it is a hard game to call, but I just really, as Steve says, just on the quality nearly of Jack Grugan alone and what he produces time and time again in the club championship, I'd maybe just about edge Ballymacnab in a very close match. Could go all the way. We're on. I'll get the plug in here. We're live on Armagh TV with that one on at 7:30 on Friday night. First of 5 games throughout the weekend. So yeah, look, I think I'm commentating on that one. Really looking forward to it, and could be very, very, very tight game and maybe a long night.
Yeah, it's definitely. I think there's a couple of games that are going to stand out this weekend, and that's definitely the first one. We'll move to Saturday then. We're having Clavey against Armagh, and it's in Ballymacnab at 3 o'clock on Saturday. I don't know if there's much to talk about here. I think Clavey are an up-and-coming side. They showed that last year with a change of style, a change of management and a change of style, that you're expecting them to push for this championship this year. They showed against Crossmaglen that they were quality in that semi-final. Despite Crossmaglen taking an early lead, Clavey came back and we're still in with a chance at the end if they had a goal chance and it just didn't come off. Armagh, on the other hand, have been relegated from Division 1B, and fair play to Armagh, they've been up in the senior championship for I think almost 10 years now, maybe 8 or 9 years. They had a good run and they're going down. But it's hard to look past Clavey in this one, Steve.
Yeah, you'd expect Clavey to progress, but you have to look at I suppose Anmore, the McKeever boys back, and they'll always provide a threat. They're good lads. You have like Cal Walsh, who's a decent footballer. I think he's been doing well this last while. But with Clavey, as you said, Sean, how they got on last year, how the push across, they would be looking to build on that, but they've work to do. I don't think it's going to be as clear cut as what many people are making out. Because the first round is about getting up and running and clicking. Well, if they can do that, they'll be hard to stop.
And Paddy, Gavin McKelly back in with them, as we know, he was part of the down setup there under Paddy Talley. He's a shrewd coach. He'll know what Armagh need to do to be competitive in this game, but probably just not enough to see them through. Would you think?
No, look, I expect Clavey to win this game. I'm not. That's not the bravest prediction in the world, but look, I've mentioned a couple of times on this podcast before, Sean. Like for any small rural club, Armagh should be an absolute template for what they've managed to achieve over the last 10 years. In a tiny area, really small pick. They've performed miracles to stay in senior for as long as they have, and I've no doubt that they'll regroup next year in intermediate and they'll be a very competitive team. But I think Clavey will be a bridge too far on Saturday for them.
Yeah, 3 votes for Clavey. Move on Saturday night then. We're back in the athletic grounds for a double header. Both games been shown on Armagh TV as well. At 5 o'clock with Crossmaglen against Madden, and we've been speaking, lads, about maybe league form being deceptive and not maybe going to count for much at the weekend. We have seen Crossmaglen in championship action, obviously against Clann Gael a couple of weeks ago. Paddy, me and you was commentating on that game, and I think on reflection, I think Crossmaglen were probably more comfortable than 2-point winners. The Clann Gael goal really brought them back into the game, but Cross reacted very well. They've a couple of boys come back in. Oisin O'Neill didn't start that day. Tony Kiernan, Callum Cummesky. They started with a very young forward line. They're not the force they used to be, of course, but they're still up in the top 2 or 3 teams in the county.
Oh, of course they are. Yeah, I mean, any team that has some of the star quality the Cross have, they will always be competitive. They'll always start championship one of the favourites. It was an interesting game, because we sort of thought we saw, a bit of a change in style maybe early on. The Cross were definitely dropping a player back in front of Stephen Campbell. But then maybe we thought as the game wore on, that they were maybe going one-on-one at the back a little more. But I suppose after that game, my abiding thought was that, look, Cross, they deserved to win. They were the better team over the 60 minutes. And getting Oisin O'Neill back, they'd missed him, I think, badly in the last couple of games of the league. So getting him back was a big bonus. And I just think maybe the timing of the whole thing is probably helping Cross a bit, Sean. Like if Madden won Division 1B, I was just looking at the dates here, on the 22nd of August. So it'll be 5 weeks from they've had a really, really competitive game, between that last match, the championship. The big Culloville had 4 points, and that, I was there that day. You could tell just how much it meant to them to win the league and get up into the top echelon of Armagh football. But that was 5 weeks ago, and when you have the League One, it's probably difficult to maintain the same intensity in the in the remaining league match. So Cross, they had a big knockout championship game 2 weeks ago, and I think that's probably a bit of an advantage. Madden, big, strong physical team, will put it up to Cross. I think this will be a really entertaining one again on Linwood's Armagh TV. But yeah, there's probably a couple of advantages that Cross have there. Timing and having mercurial skills of Oisin O'Neill back with them.
Yeah, Cross obviously heading into this one as favourites. Steve, I don't know, but I'm giving Madden a real chance this weekend. They always seem to, the last couple of years, they always seem to get up for these big games when they're the underdogs and they're not expected to win. We've seen that last year against Ballymacnab, the year before against Maghery, and even against Cross the year before that, whatever that is, 2018. They didn't beat Cross, but I think Cross only beat them by a point in Madden in the group stages. They can always raise their game till take on a big hitter. It's usually the teams when they're expected to win that Madden come up short. But this weekend, going back to that game against Cross in 2018, Ryan Grimley, who's a giant in the middle of the field, they sent him to full forward and Cross had no answer for it. Looking across 2 weeks ago, I'm not sure they have an answer for it this time, if that's the tactic Madden are going to use. It'll be interesting to see what way Madden approach this.
I think it will, but I think you're right. When you talk about Madden, if any team that beat any team, they're seen basically as a championship team in Armagh club. They're always going to be the underdogs, but you could say they might surprise a team, but they'll never be the shock winners. Even if they win on Saturday, it'll be a surprise, but it wouldn't be a shock because they're Madden. It's what they do. Essentially they go out and surprise teams in the championship. The fact that they've done so well, in the league and getting promoted in that, shows that they've been moving in the right way. But I think, as Paddy pointed out there, the timing factor is huge because those 5 weeks ago that Man won the league, that was the time when Cross lost, Tony Kern, Oisin O'Neill was out, and Callum Kumsky was out. They're all now coming back, and as the manager Stephen Kernan pointed out the last day, having them players back is key to what Cross want, where they want to go and where they want to be. I think you've also got Stephen Morris back, after missing, last year's final. That's huge. And then a couple of young players have really grown even from last year, like Darragh O'Callaghan, So I think it'll not be the one-way traffic some people looking from the outside might think, but I think Cross should have enough to see them off, and I think Cross will, if they get over this here, that they'll start clicking and stepping up even more.
I think I'm going to put my neck on the line here and give Madden a vote, just to mix it up a wee bit and take one of the underdogs. I think it's going to be an intense game. I think Madden have every chance in that game, and yeah, I'm going to tip Madden. I think, Paddy, are you just bordering Cross?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think I think the most likely outcome is Cross winning the match on Saturday, even though, as you rightly said, Madden will pose them plenty of problems.
So it's 2 for Cross, and I'm going to go for Madden in that one. Next up is the tie of the round, probably, when they're always done. This is the eye-catching one, is Maghery and the Harps, a repeat of the 2017 county final. Maghery, obviously, county champions. The Harps, on the other hand, haven't just had a good run in the championship since they won it them a couple of years ago. They were a point off winning the league. Dromintee just nipped in front of them by a point. I think the Harps have a good chance here. This is going to be this is going to go down to the wire. I think Maghery's championship experience in the last couple of years maybe just getting them over the line. But Paddy, how do you see this one lining up?
See it as a pretty 50-50 game. Look, Maghery finished that season so strong last year. Like, they were just excellent in the county final, and yeah, look, they deserve to go in as favourites. But Harps have had for a long time a great squad. Really capable. Really capable outfit. I mean, you're right. The year or two after they won the championship, they maybe didn't kick it on the way they'd liked it. But so many capable players, great field. It's great feel good factor around the club at the minute. Now, look, it's hard to it's hard to judge how that, does that play into things, the fact that the ladies won on Sunday, the minors won on Monday, but it definitely can't do any harm, so I would see this one pretty close, to be honest. And the main thing I would say is that, look, whoever wins it, they'll probably be catapulted up there with Crosses being, being considered the two standout teams in the county, with the likes of Clevie and others coming behind them.
Steve, I think the only thing stopping me tipping the Harps here is I'm just not sure if they have the scoring power. Obviously, Tom O'Kane is an exciting inside forward. Kieran Higgins is probably going to take him, and Kieran Higgins is one of the best man markers in the county, in my opinion. Have they got the forwards that are going to score heavily if Tom O'Kane is wrapped up? Obviously, you have Ulti Lennon there as well, who Maghery need no reminding of. He's a score getter, a goal getter. But I think he's going to be used more as an impact sub rather than starting. So how do you see this one panning out? Do you see Maghery's defence being able to handle the Harps' attack? And also, of course, the middle of the field is going to be a huge battle as well, with Charlie Vernon going up against James Lavery.
Yeah, I think that'll be an interesting battle right around the middle, but it's a game to get excited about, really. I don't think there's going to be much in it, but I think sometimes we can build the Harps up, more about this point in more championships than they've, exceeded expectations, if you understand, this last cup in the last 5 years or so. But I think with Maghery, they're a title to defend. They're going to go in this, I think, all guns blazing. I think when you've got Stephen Cusack, has just been wonderful to watch, in the club this past few years. And I think it'll be interesting to see where they're going. First of all, where to play Aidan. Is he going to be hovering around the middle, put him in man marking, or stick him up forward? It doesn't matter where you put him, he's going to be a danger, and he's going to get scores. So I think it'll be an interesting contest, but I would imagine a Madden will just come out of this.
I think the two most important players are going to be Aidan Falker, obviously, and as you say, Steve, he can play anywhere, and that could dictate how Maghery play. If he's inside, they might play a kicking game and get him on the ball. If he's out further, maybe they'll try to run it. And Dackie McKenna, I think, is worth a mention as well for the Harps. He's been an unbelievable club player the last couple of years, and I've seen him a couple of times this year, and he's still firing at all cylinders. I think I'm just going to tip Maghery on the basis that I just don't know if the Harps will get enough scores, but they'll definitely trouble them. It'll be a good game. I think I'm just going to give the nod till Maghery. Steve, who are you tipping?
Well, I think if the Harps are going to win, they're going to have to get goals. And I think one thing is that maybe this year Maghery might get it hard to get goals. I think that Harps have tightened up in defence and a good keeper, so it'll be interesting. But I expect Maghery to see it through, but not by a huge margin.
And Paddy, what way do you see it going?
Look, I think it's a very hard one to call. Maghery deserve to be favourites. Look, they're the champions, so I suppose you have to. You maybe have to edge that way, but look, whether maybe Harps might have that bit of extra hunger, I don't know. Very, very hesitant maybe with Maghery, but definitely, I see this as pretty much 50-50.
Yeah, that's one to watch. I don't think either result will be a massive shock, and I don't think we're ruling out a draw either. On to Sunday with Grange against Clann. That's in Abbey Park at 1:30. I think if Ethan Rafferty was fit for this, I think I would be seeing Grange as a team that's really going to push hard in this championship, but just missing such a their main player really. And his brother Brendan Rafferty has recently had surgery as well, so they're missing the two Raffertys, and that's obviously a big miss for the Grange. While on the other side you have Clann, who have Tiernan Kelly and Connor Turbot, who have been in sensational form for Armagh, and they're just coming into young fellas coming into the Armagh panel the last couple of years, and they showed their worth this year, obviously with their couple of goals in the championship. Paddy, the two big misses for the Grange, especially Ethan around the middle of the field, you just feel they're maybe going to struggle a bit.
Yeah, look, I think that's a good analysis of it, Sean. It's hard to look at this game and feel anything other than look, Clann are favourites. I mean, I was looking at the programmes there. Clann have 50 players named in that programme. I mean, I was wondering, we got every club got a warning there, or not a warning, but advice there a couple of weeks ago. But you're only allowed 30 men available for championship. And that's what I was thinking. Look, sure, the other one or two, is there any need to make a big deal of that? But if you have teams lining out 50, it's I can maybe see why the county board wanted to clarify that. And look, that's it's a point in itself. I know people might say, oh, well, you can only put 15 on the field, and of course that's right, but it's a reflection of where Clann are as a club. They were in another minor final with some brilliant footballers there on Monday evening in the replay. They have they're a real team on the up. Conor Turbot at his first year, Tiernan Kelly, they've been making such a impact for Armagh, and I expect that they'll continue to do the same for Clann. Other point with Clann is they must have left last season. They'd have been gutted after that extra time defeat in the game. They should have won against Maghery that quarter final. I was at that game. I felt that they were very unlucky in the night. Maybe just a couple of decisions towards the end cost them. But then for them to go on and see Maghery from that won the championship with convincingly. Maghery went on from that game. That'll probably have made them even more have a bit more belief in themselves, that they'll realise, look, they are not far off. They might still be in Division 1B, but I expect them to be very competitive in 1A next year, and I think they'll be very competitive in this championship. And sort of team wouldn't surprise me at all if they ended up in a final. Grange are a commendable outfit. Done really well since they've come up to senior, stayed up for another year. But yeah, look, I think you have to make Clann the favourites there.
I think the Grange, in fairness to them, they have a good forward line. They have the two McKennas, Justy Kieran and Ben Toll. But just looking at the Clann defence, a good spine. You have Ballymacnab there and Shea Heffron. And it's worth mentioning they don't have Ryan Owens. Obviously, he got injured earlier in the year as well, so he's absent. Steve, how do you see this going to form on Clann coming through?
I'd echo Paddy's sentiments there, that I think this Clann team can go far. They're a very slick team, move the ball quick. But as you said, like when you've Ballymacnab and Shea Heffron, some of the great players that we watched at underage and are really making a statement now as senior footballers. They're fantastic. And then when you've got Turbo, he can win the ugly ball, he can win the clean ball, he's dangerous. Of course, the big blow would be Tiernan Kelly's probably going to miss out after his red card against Mullaghbawn. So it'll be. I think that will give Grange a bit of a chance. But I just think that the way that Clann play, the way that they move the ball, they have a strong bench, and they make changes, quick when they need to make. I think that Clann could be making a statement here.
Yep, 3 for Clann again. Moving on to Sunday evening at 3:30, we're back to Crossmaglen, and this is a double header, and both games on Armagh TV as well. The first up, it's league champions Dromintee against Silverbridge, and Steve, as I mentioned, league champions for Dromintee. First time, I think it was 2004 was the last time they won the league. Won it over 2 years, I suppose. They really won it last year when they had a really good patch of form. Haven't had as good a 2021 as they had a 2020. I think with more momentum carried into last year's championship, but maybe just unfortunate to come up against Maghery in the first round. This against Silverbridge, a side that have plenty of good players, a strong senior side, a strong Division 1B side. This could go right down to the wire, Steve.
Yeah, it should be an interesting game. I'm playing across too, it's a pitch that both teams will be familiar with. I think it's a huge achievement, for Dromintee to win the title. It's maybe for some teams it doesn't really matter an awful lot, but when you say from 2004, it's a long time ago, so it's great for any of the players to get a bit of silverware in their pocket, and so they'll be confident. Dromintee, I think they're favourites, but they'll be confident. They've some good players. I think that you have the likes of McKenna, and then obviously you you have Eireann all playing well. But just with Silverbridge, they're a young team. They'll not fear Dromintee. They'll be confident. They'll be quietly confident. I think while last year they were put out by Cross, but I think in parts of that game they played well, and just some of their option taking, in front of goals really let them down. So I think it'll be tight enough, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Silverbridge maybe come out of this one and maybe surprise the Drums.
I think in terms of predictions, I'm going to throw a spanner into the work and call a draw. I think that's the first draw prediction we've had. I'm going to go for that because I know Dromintee are carrying in the momentum from the league, but I just think that Silverbridge have enough to cause them problems. Obviously, the midfield battle is going to be huge with Carher and Charlie Og for Silverbridge, and the likes of McKenna, Gael, and Aaron McKay in there for Dromintee. So, yeah, I'm going to go for a draw, and that's going to go right down to the wire. Sunday evening, then, with Culloville against Mullaghbawn. It's at 5:30 as well in Crossmaglen. Paddy, I know you're a Culloville man, so I'm not going to pose these questions on you. But Steve, Culloville maybe have come down the rung in terms of where they were a couple of years ago. In 2018, they were in the championship semi-final, and they just sort of fell away from that a wee bit. But a bit like we were saying about Ballymacnab as well, they've the three county men. They've Jason Duffy, obviously Ross McQuillan home as well, and Aidan Nugent hopefully back from injury this weekend as well. So we could see a different Culloville this weekend against Mullaghbawn.
Yeah, well, having a fit again Aidan Nugent is massive. And he could be the difference. I think Mullaghbawn of a few players that are waiting to see if they're going to be fit or not. So they'll be sweating on a few of their forwards. They're missing quite a few, up to a couple of weeks ago. I think Culloville, they've been going rightly. In championship, you just don't know what way this game's going to go. I find it, like you said, the last one, I'm going to go for a draw, just because I just think that if Mullaghbawn can click, they've got some good footballers, but you don't know if Eddie English is going to be fit, if Owen McDonald's going to be fit, and same likewise for Culloville, if Aidan Nugent's going to be fit or not. But I think when you've got then the power and pace you have of McQuillan and Duffy, they're hard men to stop. I think whichever team really moves the ball, but also plays the running game, because they're big. They've both got big, strong forwards, and defenders just hate players running at them. And if they do it enough, you have to stop them one way, and it's going to be by giving away frees or just good tackling. But I think this one's going to be a draw. I don't think there's too much to choose between them.
I think just the fact that of the three county men, hopefully Aidan Nugent is fit to play. Obviously he tore his cruciate last summer, and I think it was the second league game against the Grange. I'm going to tip Culloville, but again, not a strong prediction. It wouldn't surprise me if this game is a draw or Mullaghbawn come through it. As I say, man, them games are all over the weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and we'll be covering them with previews, match reports, our team of the week interviews, and you'll probably see me and Paddy on Armagh TV at some stage over the weekend as well. Don't forget to keep voting for your player of the week. The team of the week was released on Wednesday, and the voting will close at midnight on Friday night, so keep voting for that, and we'll release the winner on Saturday. Man, thanks very much for coming on and previewing the first round of the Senior Championship. We look forward to a good weekend of action, and we'll see you all over the weekend.